Breaking news today. China is supplying Russia with metals, drones, and possibly even helicopters. According to the findings of a Telegraph investigation, China is providing Russia with helicopters, drones, optical sights, and critical metals used in the defense industry. Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began through the first quarter of this year, Chinese companies involved in the production of missile launchers, armored vehicles, and strategic bombers have received tens of thousands of shipments. It comes as China, which says it is neutral, seeks to play a leading role in negotiations to end the conflict. China's exports to other countries have dropped significantly, but trade with Russia is expected to hit a new record high this year, surpassing $200 billion. The Observatory of Economic Complexity, a trade data visualizer, found that exports of goods with potential military uses increased by more than 3 times in the year ending in June compared to the previous year. Items with more than one use. In order to avoid international sanctions, China can claim that its trade with Russia is entirely legitimate if it uses dual-use goods, which also have civilian applications. With China's help, Russia appears to be able to weather sanctions, casting doubt on the efficacy of a key part of the West's campaign against Moscow. According to data compiled by Molfar Global, an open-source research organization, one Chinese company shipped 1,000 drones to Russia in the 2 months prior to the war. On its website and social media pages, Shantou Honghu Plastics presents itself as a distributor of toys for kids. The drones were shipped to a company called Samsung in Russia. Like the other company, Samsung advertises itself as a wholesaler of games and toys, but it appears to be a shell company, with only 10,000 rubles in capital. Then, HEMS 999, a Chinese company, sent 2 helicopters to Ukraine 4 days after the conflict began. Tianjin Huarong Aviation, another Chinese company, has shipped 4 Airbus helicopters to Russia since the conflict broke out. Ural Helicopter, a Russian company, took delivery of all of them. Their main client is the Russian National Guard, currently stationed in Ukraine under the command of Viktor Zolotov, Putin's longtime bodyguard. From the beginning of 2022 through the first quarter of this year, Chinese companies have shipped optical sights to more than 50 Russian businesses. Last year, imports of these goods nearly doubled from the year before, reaching $2.5 million. According to information culled by Molfar from 52WMB, a Chinese trade data aggregator, the majority of the optical sights, roughly 2,500, supplied to the Russian firm CEK came from Yiwu Woji Optics Instrument. CEK has previously supplied such goods and night vision equipment to the Russian Internal Affairs Ministry. Although this gear is listed on invoices as being for hunting, it could easily be attached to military weapons and used to improve the soldier's field of view. Increases in raw material imports into Russia. Research by Molfar indicates that China is trying to circumvent sanctions by shipping turbojets and radar missile navigation systems to India and Costa Rica before re-exporting them to Russia. The trade statistics show that Russia has increased its imports of key raw materials and components used in the production of weapons. In 2022, Chinese exports to Russia of titanium alloy products totaled $18 million, nearly double the amount sent in 2021. Titanium alloys are widely used in the military industry because of their strength, lightweight, and resistance to heat. NPP Start, a subsidiary of Russia's Rostec defense conglomerate, received shipments of titanium plates and rods from China. NPP Start is a developer of air defense missile launchers. S7 Technics, a company that maintains and repairs aircraft, has received titanium products and provided its services to a group responsible for Putin and other Kremlin officials' air travel. After sanctions cut off supplies of Western-made components for Airbus and Boeing planes, S7 is also working to make aircraft spare parts so that Russian airlines can keep their fleets operational. Tupolev, which manufactures and maintains long-range bombers like the Tu-95 and Tu-160M, has received magnesium alloy shipments from Chinese companies. These bombers have been used to launch cruise missile attacks against Ukraine, at least 520 shipments have been made from China to businesses involved in the production of KAMAZ vehicles, whose armored carriers like the KAMAZ Typhoon transport Russian troops and cargo. Products like welding equipment and laser machine tools that can be used to make weapons and military hardware were also available. China exported steel to Russian businesses that make KAMAZ armored vehicles or engine components. Magnitogorsk Iron and Steel Works, one of Russia's largest companies, has been sanctioned by the United States and Ukraine for its role in the production of KAMAZ vehicles. Wuxi Tianqing Steel and Xi'an Alpha Metal are just two examples of the Chinese companies with Russian-language websites or branch offices in the Russian capital. Both make no secret of their ties to the military and feature prominent imagery of warplanes and ships on their front pages. Under-the-table deals. China may also be providing Russia with raw materials via unofficial channels. The Chinese and Russian governments have allegedly been in covert negotiations with Iran to supply the country with ammonium perchlorate, a chemical compound used to propel ballistic missiles. Even though Putin has been shunned on the international stage and both Western companies and countries have severed ties with Moscow, figures from China, Russia's top trading partner, indicate that Beijing has become a crucial lifeline. The Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, has met with Putin on multiple occasions, including in the weeks leading up to the war, but he only agreed to a single hour-long phone call with the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, in April. Earlier this year, Beijing issued a 12-point peace statement that essentially restated its position without offering any new ideas for how to end the conflict. When peace talks resumed in Saudi Arabia on August 6, China finally decided to attend after skipping the first round earlier this year. It still denies that an invasion is taking place in Ukraine. When contacted by The Telegraph for comment, no company provided a response. Some, like CEK, were inaccessible.